Hi there, folks. This is Abel James, and thank you so much for listening to the Fat Burning Man Show. Today we're here with Sean Croxton, a fellow online radio show host and the man behind Underground Wellness and the author of the very awesome Dark Side of Fat Loss. And thanks so much to all of you out there who listened to last week's show with George Bryant over at Civilized Caveman. He and I just released our first ebook together called The Caveman Feast, which is a collection of over 200 of George's awesome recipes. And he's going to kill me for saying this, but he's actually been brought to tears from some of the positive support that he's gotten in the emails. So thank you so much for that. And if you haven't checked it out already, you can go to cavemanfeast.com to check it out. All right, it was a lot of fun to have Sean on the show, to get him on the other side of the microphone so he could just let loose and really state his mind. And he certainly has his opinions. And once again, his book, Dark Side of Fat Loss, I had a great time reading it. It's very much parallel to my books and my overall approach. All right, so in today's show, we talk about the very important and highly underappreciated issue of reducing your toxic load, why it is actually important to eat organic food over conventionally raised, despite what the studies sponsored by big agriculture and the media mayhem that follows might tell you. How a single 15-minute shower is the equivalent of drinking 8 glasses of chlorinated toxic water, and why you should toss your Teflon-coated pan because it might be killing you and your birds. All right, let's go hang out with Sean. All right, folks, today I'm excited to be here with Sean Croxton, the esteemed host of Underground Wellness, dropper of truth bombs, and the Darth Vader of paleo, hell-bent on dragging people to the dark side. What's up, Sean?
What's happening, Abel? How's it going, man?
Life is good. So let's start a little bit with your backstory in case people don't know everything about you, and shame on them if they don't. But how'd you get into being, a self-made fitness celebrity? As I understand, you kind of were stuck in conventional wisdom for a while.
I wouldn't call myself a self-made fitness celebrity, but
I thought you'd appreciate
what
that,
happened?
though.
It was quite a journey, man. There's a lot of failure involved in there. I went to California State University and I studied kinesiology, emphasizing fitness, nutrition, and health. Was kind of a nerd, man. I still am a nerd. I like to read a lot, so I was a guy who would read, the book several times over and memorize everything in there for the test and be done with the test in like 5 minutes, like serious nerd status.
Yeah.
And when I graduated from that program, I thought that I knew everything that there was to know about fitness, nutrition, and health. And immediately after college, I became a personal trainer, and I began applying some of this knowledge that I learned in college to my clients as well as to myself, and found that it wasn't really working so well.
Yeah.
I mean, things like low-calorie diets, low-fat diets, food guide pyramid, tons of grains, drink your soy milk, drink your low-fat milk, on and on and on and on. And at the same time, having my clients do lots of cardio, burning tons of calories on the treadmill or the elliptical or whatever. And what I found was that this calories in, calories out approach didn't work.
Yeah.
I remember the weigh-in days, the body fat days, where my clients, we would sit there and talk about, hey, what did you do over the last 2 weeks to get closer to your goal? And they talked about how well they ate and how much cardio they did, and they would get on that scale and that thing wouldn't budge, or would go in the wrong direction, and their body fat wouldn't change, or it would go up. And so it was very frustrating for me as well as for my clients. And I finally got to the point, a year or two in, where I had to say, hey, there's something I'm doing here that ain't quite right, because I care. I want people to get results. People are spending their hard-earned money, hiring me to train them and get particular results. We weren't getting them. And so I started looking at things that were counter to what I had learned in college, and looked for people who were getting real results with real people. So I stumbled upon Paul Chek and David Getoff, and I was looking at Dr. McCullough and Weston A. Price, who wrote Nutrition and Physical Degeneration, Dr. Lauren Cordain, Paleo Diet, William Walcott, and the Metabolic Typing Diet, kind of showing me that, hey, there is no one-size-fits-all diet out there. And started to apply this stuff to myself and my clients, put the information up on YouTube, and YouTube led to the radio show, which led to blogging, which led to the Dark Side of Fat Loss, and on and on and on, and now we're here.
Yeah, it's super cool. Now, at first when you were working with your clients, knowing what you thought was everything, and I think a lot of people have been in this position, you thought it was more like a compliance issue, right? That people weren't sticking to it?
Oh, totally. Because I was using this scientifically proven program that I spent several tens of thousands of dollars to learn in college. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And so it couldn't have been me.
Right.
It couldn't have been my program. It was my clients. I worked at the college recreation center.
Hmm.
And so my thing was, oh, you guys party too much over the weekend.
Right.
You drank too much. You lied and really didn't do your cardio. Oh, yeah, it had nothing to do with me. But again, after this happened over and over and over and over and over again, like Albert Einstein says, the definition of insanity is doing the
Hmm.
same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Yeah.
And so, I got to that point where I was like, yo, this isn't working. You know what? It's probably not my clients. It's what I'm doing here. So let's switch this baby up.
Yeah, yeah, and I know a lot of the people listening out there are trainers, and so do you have any advice for some of them who might be just getting started teaching these things that run completely counter to everything that they may have been taught?
Well, question authority and think for yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's a Timothy Leary quote, and it really resonates with me because that's what I do.
Hmm.
Also, when trainers email me, they say, give me some advice, and I say, read, 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 learn, 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 learn. Never stop learning,
Yeah.
and never lose the ability to change your mind. Because if you're just stuck in one type of mentality and that's the be all end all and nothing's ever better, nothing improves, well, that's not where you want to be. You want to have an open mind, you want to read, you want to learn from others who are doing things that are working, and you want to apply it and try it and see if it works and find out what your truth is.
Yeah, and so when it comes to fitness, have you done a 180 on that as well?
Fitness, to be honest, isn't really my field so much
Hmm.
anymore. Typically, I leave the fitness up to the experts like Todd Durkin and Brett Klicka, who I may
Hmm.
have on my YouTube channel or on the radio show. I have gotten away from long distance cardio.
Yeah.
I find it to be incredibly stressful for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I'm more into interval training, weight training, that type of stuff. I mean, I keep my workout pretty darn simple.
Hmm.
I'm still the guy doing the bench press and the lat pulls and all that stuff. I'm just an old school thinker when it comes to that, but I have changed my stance considerably when it comes to endurance training. I've seen too many people come through here because I did several years of nutrition and lifestyle coaching or
Hmm.
functional diagnostic nutrition, I should say, where I was actually testing people's hormones and looking at their gut function and seeing how toxic their livers were and things like that. And those clients who I had, and this isn't a study, this is just my own personal
Right.
experience.
Right.
Those clients that I had who were major endurance runners and cyclists typically had pretty blown up adrenal glands. Their
Hmm.
hormones were out of whack, their liver and their oxidative stress was through the roof. The gut was starting to break down more so than the average individual who wasn't doing that type of training.
Hmm.
And so I've really, really gotten away from that and kind of stuck with the intervals. Get yourself a base of conditioning with a
Right.
little bit of distance, but start hitting those intervals and you'll get a lot more bang for your buck anyway.
Right. So what does Sean Croxton's workout routine look like on a given week, say?
Oh man, I go in there. You know what? I really don't have. Here's my thing. You know what? And I'll be honest with you. I'm 34 years old. I'm about to be 35. No longer do I care how much I can lift.
Yeah.
I don't give an F, a hoot about how much I can lift. You know what I care about, man? I care about feeling good.
Yeah.
And when I get in the shower in the morning and I look in the mirror, that I go, oh man, you're doing all right. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I just go in there, I'll bang out some bench press, maybe some flat, I'll maybe do some dumbbell presses, maybe do some pull-ups, some lat pulls, some squats here and there, some deadlifts here and there, work on the TRX a little bit.
Hmm.
I do my interval training on the treadmill maybe 3 times a week. I'm probably in the gym 4 times a week max. I'm spending a lot of time at home reading and spending time with friends and all that stuff,
Yeah.
as opposed to back in the day when I was trying to hit the gym 7 days in a row, every
Hmm.
single day, not giving myself a whole lot of rest. And so, I'm more about eating good food. I feel like there's a lot of people who are eating the wrong type of diet or a diet that's inappropriate for them based
Hmm.
on bad knowledge. That's like packing pounds on them and then they're going to the gym and constantly trying to burn it off. Well, my diet and my lifestyle are so much on point that I don't find that I really put on a lot of fat, so it's
Right.
much easier for me to maintain. So I just go into the gym 3 4 times a week, keep it basic, and I'm good.
Yeah. And you probably skip misery that way too, right?
Oh yeah, I skip the misery. I skip, being incredibly sore. Just all of that stuff. I remember I used to go to CrossFit, and I love CrossFit. I think it's great. I think it has
Yeah.
its place. I think it's a great community and all that stuff. But I did that for a little while, and my body was just crushed all the time, man. I was
Hmm.
just so worn out during the day because I would do it in the morning. So I was like, you know what? Let's just go back to the old school. It works. You feel good. You look good, and it's really all I need to do personally.
Yeah. Now, in your book, you talk about what foods to eat and cookbooks and all that. But what about your plate? Like, what does that look like? What are your favorite foods that totally rock out health wise and you think taste great?
Of course, I love bacon.
Yeah.
I love bacon. I have bacon pretty much maybe 3, 4 times a week
Yeah.
with
Bacon always
eggs.
wins.
Oh, absolutely. Like my Facebook says that the cover photo is I love bacon. Bacon, rocks. Bacon with some scrambled eggs, and I might put some avocado slices on that baby. Have that with a green smoothie. I got a Vitamix a few months ago,
Hmm.
and that thing, man, that thing is pretty much worn out already. I've been
Nice.
crushing that thing, and so I'll throw some cucumber, some kale, pear. Did I already say kale? A
Yeah.
cilantro I'll throw on there, maybe some mint, and I'll just whip that baby up and have it with breakfast. Lunch can be anything. I get a lot of stuff from US Wellness Meat, so
Hmm.
it may be a pork chop with some mixed vegetables, pork chop with some a sweet potato. They have these. Del Monaco steaks or something like that. I
Hmm.
can't remember the name, but they're the best thing. That the fat part of that is so good, you have no idea, man. And so, every night I'll put something out, and I'll let it thaw out, and I'll have that for lunch, and then dinner. I go out for dinner a lot,
Hmm.
with friends. I really make it a point to connect with my friends and have a good time with them. So, we may hit up a burger lounge down the street, and I'll have like a Caesar salad with a turkey patty on the side. Just wherever. Sometimes I'll go out and have sushi, sashimi salad, or just regular sushi. Whatever works for me. And I typically, sometime during that day, have another green smoothie. I feel that over the last few years, one thing that I've been kind of lacking is vegetables in my diet because I just don't like vegetables. I'm a regular
Yeah.
guy. I don't like vegetables, just as much as the next person doesn't like vegetables.
Hmm.
And
You have
but
to sneak them in.
yeah, putting them in the Vitamix is awesome because now I just drink them and I just do it kind of without even thinking. And so that's my way of, increasing my nutrition with that Vitamix. It's
That's
great.
that's cool, and that's good advice too. But you're not always perfect. I've heard you've been caught in Whole Foods with chocolate raspberry cake.
I'm a regular dude, Well, I'm just a regular guy, and I don't really worry about it. Again, I have been caught at Whole Foods with maybe some kettle chips in there, or some chocolate raspberry cake, or a chocolate bar, or my chocolate covered almonds. Whatever, man. I'm a regular person. That's how I feel. I feel like that's who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of like the model that people need instead of striving for perfection. This guy who's on this pedestal who always eats 100% right. Like I don't think anyone's ever going to be able to do that. And
Yeah.
so, I'll keep it real. I cheat. It's I call it 80/20, but it's not really 80/20. That's just a fun way of saying it
Right.
because if it's 80/20, that means 1 out of 5 meals you're cheating on.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of people put a microscope on that 80/20, but it's just a way of saying, hey, loosen up a little bit,
Hmm.
chill out, be normal. Don't be the weird person who can't hang out with your friends because they're going to a particular restaurant that you don't quite agree with the menu.
Yeah.
Just be regular and take good care of yourself, and everything's gonna be all right.
And enjoy it.
Enjoy life. Enjoy
Yeah.
life. This stuff can get so stressful for people. They're like, oh my God, I can't eat this and this has that. And it's like, yo, when you're at home, keep
Yeah.
nothing but good food in your
Exactly.
refrigerator. Have the vast majority of your meals at home. When it's time to go out and let loose, man, let loose and have a blast.
Yeah, yeah, that's great advice. A lot of people ask me sometimes too. They're just like, "Is this exercise paleo?" And I always crack up. 'Cause like, it doesn't matter. That's a ridiculous question. I get what they're saying, but at the same time, just like relax, you know?
let's not overthink things, you know.
Yeah.
And that's something I came to maybe a year and a half ago, and I was even getting confused.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, what is my truth here? There's so much different information out there, and so I think people just need to chill the heck out and take it seriously because it is your health, but just not be all weird about it and make it a cause of stress. There's enough stress in the world right now.
Yeah, and speaking of stress, you just took a long vacation, right? Which was very well deserved because you've been a stress ball for a while, as I understand.
Yeah. Well, we did 3 launches. We did Dark Side of Fat Loss, the ebook. We did Paleo Summit, which was a huge online conference, and then a couple months later, did the Real Food Summit.
Hmm.
And I was just burnt. I was so burnt out, and so I was like, "Yo, I'm taking 6 weeks off." As soon as that Paleo Summit ended, I was done. I got sick the day after.
Oh, wow.
And rightfully so. I had like this sinus infection going on for like 3 weeks. It sucked, and that's stress. Stress, you know, kills the immune system
Hmm.
or significantly impacts the immune system. And so, I drove up and saw Tony Robbins for a few days and hung
Cool.
out with family and, did some little trips here and there and just had a good time and enjoyed life and, got that passion back because after all that work, at some point you lose a little bit of the passion.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
just needed some time away to kind of, for that passion to come back and for that want to blog, that want to read, and do, like now I'm about to get back to doing video. That want, I needed to have that come back for me, and so it certainly did after taking a break, and it was a good time. And it was really chill,
Hmm.
and it was great for my body because it was a significant stress reducer. It reconnected me with my friends and my family because I don't think enough people do that.
Yeah.
And there are many days, man, where I just laid in bed for several days in a row watching Netflix and Hulu. I watched like 4 seasons of Breaking Bad in 3 days.
Oh,
I mean, I
man.
was just I was just chilling out, man. And when it was over, when September 4th came, and like I
Yeah.
was I was ready to rock and roll. And so that's what we've been doing.
That's really cool. I can relate to that too. Like I said, I'm a musician. So last year I played over 200 shows like all around the country. And by the end of it, I'm just like, I'm done.
Mhm.
I'm finished for a
All right.
while. Because you got to get that passion back. You got to relax for a little bit and just take a step back and see like, why do I love this? And like, why is this a part of me? And come back to it with a fresh face and like feeling good about it. And so I think that's a really cool thing that you did. And there are those studies all over the place that say Americans never take vacation. So props to you for doing that. So, a lot of people, they come to me when they're struggling. They're like, my diet's perfect. My exercise is great, but I keep gaining fat. And one of the things that you focus on is you have this pithy little statement, life makes you fat. So you focus on these lifestyle issues like stress and sleep and some other ones. So why don't you just riff on that a little bit?
Well, I feel like there's a lot of people who, let me rephrase that. If I were to go back and be a personal trainer, and there would be a few questions that I would ask my clients during that initial consultation
Hmm.
that would be a lot different than what I used to ask. So I would just used to ask, how much weight do you want to lose? When do you want to lose it by?
Hmm.
And how many times can you come in and work out with me for us to make that happen? But now I would ask questions like, how often are you pooping?
Hmm.
Do you have bloating? Do you have constipation, diarrhea, things of that sort? Well, and you wouldn't be surprised, man, by how many people say I poop like every 2 or 3 days.
Jeez.
I hear it all the time. How's your libido? People are trying to gain muscle, lose fat, very much tied in with testosterone and
Yeah.
hormones. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And I'll tell you, 60, 70% will say my libido isn't what it used to be.
Hmm.
I have no libido at all, and it's causing issues with my significant other. There's a lot of stress in our relationship due to it, and that becomes a vicious cycle on its own.
Hmm.
Ask people how their brains are. Are you foggy a lot? Do you have a hard time coming up with particular words? You have to write things down all the time because you're going to forget them. Most people will say, yes. How well do you sleep? People will say, well, I get this second wind of energy at nighttime and I'm just awake all hours of the night. Or I wake up in the middle of the night and, I've got night sweats, or I'm hungry and I want to eat a
Hmm.
bowl of ice cream. All these different things. And I would say to that person, well, hey, I can help you lose 20, 30 pounds, whatever you want to do here, but are you going to be happy being 20, 30 pounds lighter, but still
Yeah.
having all of these issues going on? And so we have to kind of think outside that box. And I get a lot of email myself, people hitting these plateaus and they're like,
Hmm.
yo, what do I do? Well, first of all, let's realize that it's kind of a good thing because most of these folks typically start gaining their weight back.
Hmm.
In the past, they go through the cycle of losing weight and it comes back, and they lose weight and it comes back. Let's be happy that you're at a plateau and you're maintaining your weight,
That's
first
true.
of all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big that's big for them anyway. And
Hmm.
so what I would do with that individual is assess how stressed their body is, see what's going on in there. I used to run hormone profiles on my clients, and it's amazing how often I would see low testosterone,
Hmm.
especially in men
Hmm.
and women. I would see high estrogen levels in men. Of course, that's laying the fat on. I would see adrenals that are cranking out too much cortisol and not enough cortisol. I would see screwed up melatonins and progesterones. And so certainly look at the stressors that are going on in that person's life, not just the external stressors like relationships and jobs and things of that sort, but also the internal ones as well. And, my philosophy on this comes from Reed Davis in Functional Diagnostic Nutrition.
Hmm.
And it says that, hey, your health, stands upon particular systems, your hormonal system, your digestive and immune system, as well as your detoxification system. And when those things, those things are like the legs on a chair, and your health stands upon that chair. And when any of those systems becomes dysfunctional, then that chair starts to wobble
Yeah.
and you start to feel symptoms. And one of the symptoms, on top of poor digestion, foggy brain, of course, is weight gain or the inability to lose fat. And so I look at fat as a symptom, but I don't just look at it as a diet and exercise problem. I look at it from a holistic approach to see, okay, where are the breaks in these systems and what can we do to find them
Hmm.
and fix them through the proper protocols, diet, and lifestyle modifications.
Yeah. One thing that I think happens quite often is, you say, well, are you getting sleep? Are you getting sun? How's your stress and all that? And they're just like, oh, yeah, it's all fine. But they just, it's not. They totally just like brush it under the rug. Not a big deal. They want to focus on nutrition and exercise, and that's it. And they think they can ignore everything else. So how do you really drill it into your clients and let them know that this stuff is fantastically important?
Well, by asking them the questions, because
Yeah.
no one's ever asked them these questions before, including their doctors.
Hmm.
And they don't. And when you ask them that, hey, are you going to be happy being 30 pounds lighter, but still having all these issues?
Yeah. They're like,
They're
huh.
typically not. Yeah, exactly. And then you have to educate them. You
Hmm.
have to say, hey, stress. Are you familiar with the fight or flight response and cortisol and whatnot? And cortisol is a muscle wasting, fat promoting type of hormone, and you're stressed out all the time.
Hmm.
So and helping them to learn how their digestive system, what that has to do with this great diet they're eating. I say, hey, you think you're eating really well, and sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. And I say, but if you got poor digestion, because you're pooping once every 2 or 3 days, how much good do you think that diet's doing?
Yeah.
And I just need to educate them. And a lot of my clients already come educated because they've seen my videos on YouTube or
Hmm.
they've listened to the shows. But if it's somebody who doesn't really know anything about me, it does take a second to educate them on that and have them go, oh, okay. And quotes like the Einstein quote,
Hmm.
doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, it makes them go, okay, maybe it is time for me to try something new. And all right, let's do some of this testing and figure out what's going on. And it's amazing when they see their test results
Hmm.
and they see that their testosterone is super low and they see that their adrenals and their cortisol curve is all over the place, or if they're a guy and they see that their estrogen levels are like a woman in the middle of her cycle, they go, oh, now it makes sense.
Yeah.
And I go, okay, well, do you understand now how this is partly related to diet and exercise, but it's also related to a lot of the other pieces of the puzzle?
Hmm.
Then they get it because now you're giving them attention in a way that nobody else has ever done before. So they feel like they have hope. They have those results on paper.
Hmm.
And later on down the road, after we do the protocol and whatnot, and we maybe cut back on the exercise. I think a lot of people need to cut back on their
Right.
exercise because that's actually becoming a stressor for them.
Hmm.
You'd be surprised how many, especially women, going to spin class every morning, 6 a.m., killing themselves and not losing a pound. And I'll say, hey, Mrs. Nelson, I don't know why I always use Mrs. Nelson. No idea why I do that. But hey, Mrs. Nelson, let's back off. Let's actually just stop going to spin class for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I want you maybe 3 times a week, try something different. Go to yoga class, go to a Tai Chi, a Qigong class. Let's get some energy back into your body. Let's focus on recovery. And they're very resistant to it because they just know that that spin class is going to work. And then, finally I convince them to stop and to try something new, or just to maybe get a couple more hours of sleep. And amazingly, 2 weeks later, they go, oh my God, Sean, I'm actually starting to lose weight.
Isn't
I'm
that
like,
cool?
yeah. Yeah, it's cool because all of these different stressors, psychological, relationship, internal stressors, poor digestion, on and on and on and on, the bills they have to pay, all finances, stuff going on in the home, whatever, all these stressors are stacking up on top of each other, and exercise is becoming another brick.
Yeah.
And they just need to back off. Not everybody, but some people just need to back off a little bit, give themselves some time for recovery, and things start to work again.
Yeah. Unfortunately, exercise kind of becomes addictive. They see it working a little bit, and then they just think that more is better. I just wrote a whole post about that, and I compared myself when I was running marathons to when I was sprinting, and it's just crazy, the difference. I gained 10 pounds of muscle, lost body fat when I started sprinting, and stopped running 50 miles a week. So yeah, you can totally overdo it. And there's another piece of your holistic approach that I really appreciated you writing in your book, and you referenced the 100-year lie, which not enough people have read. But talk a little bit about personal care products and why they might not be quite as safe as people think they are.
Oh man, personal care products are crazy. For those listening in, go to cosmeticsdatabase.com and just take all of your personal care products and put them on your desk next to your computer and start punching in those products, and you will trip out on how toxic they are. It's amazing. And this is something that I didn't really become privy to until maybe a year or two into working with clients one-on-one. I picked up that book, 100-Year Lie, as well as a couple others, and I started to learn about obesogens.
Right.
And these are chemicals that have been classified as obesogens as being endocrine disruptors because fat loss and fat gain is a lot about hormones.
Right.
Very much so. When you throw off that hormonal system, by many different means, but one of them is through chemicals. And so these endocrine disrupting chemicals, whether they be pesticides and herbicides, whether they be the chlorine and the fluoride in your water, or they be BPA that may be in the plastic that you're using every day, the propylene glycol, the parabens, the aluminum, those are things that when you rub onto your body, they can be detected in your bloodstream within about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So you have to think about it this way. If your doctor gives you testosterone cream, it's a cream. You put it on your skin and it goes into your bloodstream. If you're a smoker and you're trying to stop, you use a nicotine patch.
Right.
It goes to the skin. So all these body washes, deodorants, shampoos, all this stuff we're rubbing all over our bodies is going into our bloodstream and making us toxic. I remember watching CNN had some special report on this, and I want to say it was parabens, and Anderson Cooper had himself tested, and his levels were through the roof.
Really?
Why? Because of all the makeup that he wears on. He's like, yo, I have a legitimate lawsuit against CNN if I were to ever get cancer or something like that because of all this makeup they're putting on me.
Wow.
And so we have to think about it. I recommend everybody go to cosmeticsdatabase.com and look at how toxic your products are. I like to keep my products at 5 and below. And that's something I recommend to everyone. I have a quote right here, as a matter of fact. It says, we use 9 personal care products with over 126 chemical ingredients. 1/3 of these ingredients have been identified as causing cancer or other serious problems. And that's crazy.
That's bananas, yeah.
Things have changed considerably in the world. And so, one thing I encourage my clients to do, and it's one of the first things that they do, is they swap out their personal care products for new stuff. They start using Aubrey Organics, Jason, Tom's, whatever. Just make sure it's better than the chemical stuff. And it's not just the personal care products, also the household cleaning products as well, because those can have a negative consequence on your endocrine function as well as your toxicity levels, where we're spraying toxic stuff around our house in the name of cleaning. And it just, it doesn't make any sense. So, I recommend like 7th Generation and Shaklee products as well. And Dr. Bronner's, use the non-toxic products. I always think, hey, would you drink it? Now, I wouldn't drink my 7th Generation products just for the heck of it, but I would certainly drink those, or my Shaklee products. I would certainly drink those before I drink some Windex.
Yeah,
I'm sure the latter would kill me. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, we have to keep these things in mind.
Yeah, if you wouldn't put it in your mouth, you shouldn't put it on your skin. That's kind of a rule that I live by. So I use a lot of coconut oil, which is awesome. I think you had that in your book too.
I sure do. And another thing that, when I was talking earlier about the hormonal system, the digestive system, detoxification system, all these toxins that are coming in, like our livers, they weren't meant to have to deal with all these toxins. And one thing that people need to know is that, you have thyroid hormone. You have T4, which is the inactive thyroid hormone, which needs to be converted into the the active form, which is called T3. And 60% of that occurs in your liver. So if you have a dysfunctional liver because you're super toxic, breathing in nasty stuff, drinking nasty water, showering in nasty water, rubbing chemicals all over your body, your liver may be taking a hit, and that actually may be affecting your thyroid hormone and your metabolism consequently.
Yeah, and for the younger listeners out there, I know it's tempting to be like, oh yeah, whatever, I might get cancer in 40 years, but this stuff will also make you fat right now. It's a more immediate reason to pay attention to, I guess, if that doesn't convince you.
That's real, seriously.
And another thing, I hadn't heard this before, but Teflon coated nonstick cookware kills birds.
Kills birds. Yes, sir.
Man.
You'll buy a bird, they typically give you a little piece of paper and it says, yo. Of course, it doesn't say yo, but it says, don't have your bird anywhere near your kitchen if you're cooking with Teflon coated cookware, because that bird will literally die.
Yeah.
This is what they used to use for toxin detection back in the day. They used to, canary in the coal mine type of deal. And so if the canary died, it was like, yo, don't go in there. It's toxic. And so same thing applies to Teflon coated cookware, nonstick cookware. Get rid of it. Replace it with some good stainless steel or some cast iron. Stainless cookware, the number 4u.com. My buddy Guy Harold sells stainless steel cookware that's been approved by the Gerson Institute, as well as my main man David Getoff over at the Price Pottenger Nutrition Foundation. If you're looking for a really ridiculously awesome price, and this isn't a sales pitch, I'm just saying, like, people are going to start looking and go, oh my God, Sean wants us to get that stainless steel stuff, and showroom price is typically like $1,500 to $2,000. Like, Guy will sell it to you for much lower than that. So stainless cookware, the number 4u.com.
Very cool. And then there's the water issue too, and I actually hadn't heard of this. The vaporized chlorine.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
You're talking about the dishwasher?
Well, no, actually, I was talking about when you take a shower and it's the equivalent of drinking like 8 glasses of chlorinated water or something like that.
Exactly. Showering in water, typical tap water, is actually far more toxic than actually drinking it, because you're inhaling it, you're absorbing it through your skin as well. And so it's many, many, many times worse for you than actually consuming it. And so, one good thing to do is to go out and get yourself a shower filter. I actually have my clients get shower filters before they get water filters.
Oh, really?
Wow. Yeah, because it's just so darn toxic. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's 100 times more toxic than the drinking water. Then just go ahead and do your get your shower all taken care of. Another thing with chlorine, I was talking about the dishwasher, is if you're using chlorine, like, chlorinated bleach, or if you're using a chlorinated dishwasher detergent, the heat and all of the chemicals in there are actually making chloroform gas. And so that steam that's coming out of your dishwasher, or that steam when you open up the dishwasher, like put your face in it, that's chloroform gas. It's not good for you. So it's not good for you at all. And so, start buying some of these alternative products. Like, some of them suck, I'll be honest, but find a good one. I know the 7th generation liquid doesn't work very well, but their powder form works pretty good. The Shakti liquid works well as well. Yeah.
I actually just had my mom on my podcast, and she was talking about how she makes a lot of her own products, and I'm actually with them in New Hampshire right now, and it's true. Like, she makes her own laundry detergent, dish soap, soap that we use in the shower, and it's great stuff, and it's pretty cool. It's not that hard to do.
Yeah, it's not. You know what? It's not hard to do. I've never tried it before. I totally should. But that's certainly something that people can do. I have a lot of clients who would use vinegar and water to clean the plates.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Hey, that's all good. Do it.
Yeah. I drink vinegar, so it works. I'm a little crazy, though. Now, there's been, in the news lately, all that hubbub against organic foods and how they might not be better for you than conventional. So I'd love to hear you talk about that a little bit, because I certainly have my opinion.
This debate irritates me.
Yeah.
Because, like, here's my thing. I don't care. I don't care. All right, so there can be all these differences, and they say, oh, there's no difference in the nutritional value. I like my food to be poison free.
Yeah.
It's really that simple. I just don't like to eat insecticides and pesticides and rodenticides and stuff like that. I just don't want to eat it.
Yep.
So I don't care.
I
It's
like
really that
that.
simple. And at the same time, I mean, I always teach my clients about the wheel of life.
Hmm.
And the wheel of life means, it starts with the healthy soil. The healthy soil makes the healthy plants, and the healthy animals eat the healthy plants, or the
Hmm.
carnivorous animals eat the healthy animals, they eat the plants, and then we as humans eat the healthy animals and eat the healthy plants that come from the healthy soil. It's really that simple. And then when we die, we go back to the soil to make healthy soil again,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And when you spray these chemicals, again, fungicides, rodenticides, insecticides, pesticides, on and on and on, you're destroying the soil.
Yeah.
Of course you're going to affect everything that's a product of that soil. And we have to think, I mean, so many people are like conscious of the environment.
Hmm.
Well, when you use these chemicals, you deplete the soil's ability to, number one, to hold on to carbon, but number two is it's a carbon sink. Organic farms are a carbon sink. It pulls the carbon out of the environment and pulls it into the soil. That's a
Hmm.
good thing. We talk about, SUVs and all these things that are leading to quote unquote global warming, whether you want to believe in it or not. We always forget about the soil
Hmm.
and how we're destroying it and how we're contributing to it by buying non-organic food while we have silly arguments about, what's more nutritious or not. Like for
Right.
real?
Yeah.
And we also have to consider like water runoff. We're
Hmm.
destroying the soil. It can't hold on to the water anymore. So what do you get? You get water runoff, and all these chemicals are going into our rivers and our lakes and our oceans and whatnot. And then at the same time, since the soil can't hold on to the water, now you've got flooding.
Hmm.
When it rains in like the Midwest, you're not supposed to have flooding like that. The problem is that they're treating their soils wrong. They
Right.
can't hold the water anymore. So the organic farms don't have this problem. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? If everything was organic, we wouldn't have these issues. And so, again, it's a silly argument. It's stupid to me. I like soil. I think it should be healthy. I like water that's clean, and I liked my food to be poison free. That's it.
That's a good philosophy.
Damn.
I like that. Now we're coming up on time, but did I read it right? You walked across hot coals?
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me about that.
It's something I've always wanted to do. Like one of the things that led off this whole journey for me, because I used to have like major depression and anxiety issues, was
Hmm.
Tony Robbins reading Unlimited Power, and this
Hmm.
was 6, 7, 8 years ago, and really got me going, really got my head right, and really make me want to do a lot of the things I'm doing right now. And after finishing the Paleo Summit, I just thought it would be just so fitting to actually do the fire walk that he
Yeah.
talked about in that book, and it worked out totally properly because a friend of mine actually works for Tony, so he invited me, and it was like, this is the perfect time, this is rad. So I went, and to be honest, man, I was thinking, uh, millions of people have done this. I can't believe that they're really 2,000 degrees. Because I feel like more people would have gotten hurt, and I would have heard about it,
Yeah.
and somehow this would have been stopped at some point. So I'm like, they're not really that hot, but it'll be cool if I do it anyway.
Yeah.
So Tony gets you all hyped up and prepared for it. He spends many hours just getting your mind right for it. And we go out. We're in San Jose, and I'm in line. Everybody's all pumped up, and I'm looking at the coals, and I'm like, they don't look that hot. And then they have this wheelbarrow full of red hot coals, and the guy, he's got this big suit on with all, this is one of those fireproof suits on, and he puts his shovel in there, and he lays down brand new red hot coals right in front of me before I go.
Wow.
And I'm like, you can feel the heat, like it's hot.
Right.
But I'm like, yo, I'm not about to look like a punk. I'm gonna do this, right? So I make my move. That's what Tony teaches you, to make your move, right? So I make my move and I go. And like halfway through, I'm thinking to myself, this ain't so bad. This ain't hot, right? There must be some trick to this. And then I was like, oh, wait, I feel it now.
Yeah.
So I finished walking, and my adrenaline is so up that I know something's going on the bottom of my foot.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, maybe it's going to be okay. So I'll go back to my car. My adrenaline's coming down, and my foot is killing me.
Oh, really?
Right? Yeah, I guess one of the coals got stuck to the bottom of my foot while I was walking through.
Uh-huh.
And it kind of sucked a little bit. So it hurt tremendously for a couple hours. I was hobbling around my room. And the next day I woke up and it was absolutely fine. No problem at all. But,
Wow.
I actually respect and I appreciate the fact that I did get a little burn, because that little burn made me believe that
It's
I
real.
really walked over 2,000-degree coals.
That is so cool.
And so the other night I was in my room stretching. I didn't have my shoes on. I looked, and there's actually a little scar on the bottom of my foot. And so that's my Tony Robbins scar. And so I get to show people and whatnot. And it was great, man. It was a good time. Tony rocks. I love that guy.
So cool.
I'm really glad that I went and met some really cool people, and I think that everybody should have that experience of just, going and getting your mind right and learning about the basics of life and what the basic human needs are, and had fun. I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, that's super cool. Well, we're just about out of time, but before we go, is there anything, what are you working on now? What do you want to talk about?
Gosh, SeanCroxton.com is going to launch probably in a month from now.
Cool.
That's going to be more about what I call being a professional human being. I love to write about health, but I'm very much into self mastery, wealth mastery, health mastery, and help mastery as far as like community service. And so I feel like people, it's hard to eat healthy food and purchase healthy food. It's a little more expensive if you don't have your money right. It's hard to get things accomplished if you don't have your mind right. And also, I'm a real big fan of giving, giving back. I think for me to get here at this point in my life, especially when I was younger, a lot of things were given to me, out of love. And so, that's one thing I'm really about, is giving back. So that's what that website's going to be about. So I'm really looking forward to launching that.
Very cool, Sean. Well, I love your work. You do awesome stuff, and I look forward to being on your show in a few weeks. And thanks so much for coming on. We'll have to do this again soon, man.
Thanks, Abel.
Cool. So you can hear more from Sean Croxton and check out his awesome radio show at undergroundwellness.com. And don't forget to check out cavemanfeast.com to get $20 off of George's awesome cookbook. As always, thank you so much for listening and your support, and I'll be talking to you folks soon. Cheers.